All right, so let's talk some Sam Darnold. I haven't really done this. I think the last video I made about Darnold was praising him after that Week 3 game, and yeah, well, it's kind of fallen off the rails a bit since then, and it hasn't just been Darnold, although of course he's going to get all of the criticism, and it does make sense to some degree. In the past 3 weeks, he's only thrown 2 touchdowns and he's thrown 5 interceptions, so that's not a great ratio. And he currently now has more interceptions than touchdowns on the year. So what's going wrong? What is the issue with Sam Darnold? And really, what's the issue with the Panthers offense? Because, of course, it all blends together. All right, so let's start things off with a play like this. There was a lot of this in the Giants game. That it's just not great. It's not horrible either. So what's going to happen is that it's zone coverage, and you see the route that Darnold wants to throw to. Worth mentioning, it's actually just a 3-man rush, so it's quarters coverage, but with 4 players over the middle as well. But still, sort of in that, outside the numbers, very quick on this play. There should be an opening shallow. That's where Darnold is going to try and hit. It makes sense. In fact, weirdly, I've seen the Panthers, these past couple of weeks do a lot more quicker stuff, trying to get the ball out of Darnold's hands quicker. I'm not sure if they're just concerned about their line or what, but they're not doing stuff over the middle, which they have been doing more so, still a little bit, but less. Anyways, watch what happens. So Darnold takes the snap, and you see DJ Moore, he can, he's opened. It's not a bad situation. You're not going to get a ton of yards, but these are simple plays. However, Darnold is going to miss this throw a little bit. It's just a bit behind. DJ Moore can't hang on. That one was ruled incomplete. So stuff like this has happened, and like throws that Darnold should be making, he's missed. That's just something that I haven't seen it as a huge problem throughout his career, but it was a big problem in the Giants game. And people could say, DJ Moore's got to make that catch, especially when you're supposed to be a number 1 receiver. I think that's fair to say. I also think it's fair to say, hey, Darnold, when you're missing these throws and causing your receivers to kind of have to catch behind them, drops are going to happen. You can still put it on the receiver if you want to, but the more you do this, the more drops are going to happen, although there certainly have been some drops just in general. Drops aren't always just a wide receiver stat. And also, I want to talk about this play because you saw just some weird decisions from Darnold. Not always overly aggressive. In fact, I think overly cautious is what I would describe the way Darnold played. And, people always love to say, well, a cautious quarterback doesn't lose them the game. Well, it does. I mean, if you're not moving the ball down the field, you lose the game, right? So it might not be as impactful on a play-by-play basis, but over the course of a game, you got him take some throws down the field, and this play is a good example of that. So the way this play works is Darnold's first 2 reads are he basically is going to read from his right to his left. So you look at the shallower one first and then the deeper one. It's a simple play. This is what Joe Brady loves to do with this Panthers offense. And right when this play starts, so first read not really open, but when Darnold gets to the second read to DJ Moore right here, I don't know why he wouldn't make this throw. Worth mentioning, it's a 3rd down, and they have to get to the 21-yard line. So he hits him in stride. They have a really good chance to get to the first down marker. This is the throw that Darnold should make, and this play worked out the way that they wanted it to work out. So this is good stuff, and this is the stuff that Darnold was hitting the first few weeks, and I wonder if he's just a bit gun-shy after throwing some picks. Because watch how he instead just takes a check down right here that's just not going to get many yards. You don't get the first down. You barely get anything, and you could have had a first down had Darnold pushed the ball down the field. So just kind of a weird decision. I know he's capable of making those throws. I wonder if he's just in his own head a little bit as he's been slumping. This play's another one where it's just kind of what exactly are you doing right here? So it's going to be a play action, and you have, again, 3 routes that are notable, but only really 2 of them are actually important. So DJ Moore is running the deeper route that will eventually get into the end zone, but that's more of just a setup route. What you want to do is you have a receiver who's going to start off blocking, but then he's going to kind of try and get into a gap in coverage over the middle. If that works, cool. If it doesn't, it will at least push back the linebackers to where your check down will be open. This is currently on this play, it's a 2nd down and goal, so you need to get some yards here. Actually, I take that back. You could get a first down at the 1-yard line, but basically a 2nd down and goal right here. And So, you're trying to at least get some yards, make it a convertible third down is what this play is designed to do. Right when this play starts, so Darnold runs the play action. And at this point, like 18, he's open right there. Hit him. Like, this is like something you can do. You don't want to. You want to instead hit the check down, which might be more open. I think that's a fine decision to make, but then hit the check down. Darnold instead bails out and is going to try and just make something happen. Nothing gets open, and he throws the ball away when you could have had some yards there. Again, do you win the game if you make that throw, or if you do that? Probably not. But when you do all of this stuff, it's going to make things easier. And just, again, it's weird because this isn't something I've noticed as like a big concern for Darnold. It's not like he's always done this. So I just wonder if he's in his own head a little bit right now. It also could be possible, like, listen, he's not used to having time in the pocket with both, it's not like the Panthers' offensive line is great. The Jets was obviously abysmal. So maybe there is kind of an element here of just like he's leaving clean pockets because he's not used to pockets being clean kind of thing. All right, let's talk about this play. Let's talk about the safety, because he's been getting a lot of criticism for the safety. That's something that people blamed him for. I actually didn't really have a problem with him on this play. I thought that he was fine on this one. Let's just explain what happens. So, again, similar idea. He's going to make his reads from the inside out, so, closer to the middle of the field and then further out. That's how he's going to do this. And, of course, when you're passing the ball at your own 3-yard line, you do have to be very careful. You do not want to get sacked. Right when this play starts, so Darnold gets through those first two reads pretty quickly. I mean, he reads them both very quickly and says, hey, they're not open. That's actually impressive that Darnold was able to do that. Nothing is open here, and, what do you do in this spot? There's only 4 eligible receivers in the game right here, and the halfback is blocking. I should say trying to block. It's not going too well, so that's not great. To me, it looks like Darnold is doing what you probably should do, which is just try to throw it over the line, throw it at a receiver's feet, where, kind of in that middle area of the field, just maybe 7 yards in front to where no defender can get it, but also it won't be grounding. Like, that seems like a smart move for Darnold to make. However, when the pressure comes, he just can't get enough on it, and it ends up just falling in no man's land where it gets ruled grounding right there. To me, that was just the pressure, didn't allow him to get enough on it, and it was intentional grounding. I mean, what else is Darnold supposed to do right there? The offensive line has to be better, or the receiving core has to get better and get open. When offensive line isn't blocking well and receivers aren't getting open and you're passing at your own 3-yard line, safeties are going to happen. So that's not a fault on Darnold whatsoever, in my opinion. Now, there was this play, the interception against the Giants wasn't good. It just wasn't. It was a bad interception, but, again, we'll talk about it. So what happens is, the way this play is supposed to work is your receiver who's lined up as your number 1 receiver to your right, that means closest towards the sideline, he's going to run a go route. You then have the number 2 receiver, he kind of runs out in the flat. So this takes away the 2 Giants players who are closest towards that side of the field, right? The deep defensive back stays deep with the deep route, and then the linebacker stays shallow with the shallow route, meaning that you can then have another player kind of run all the way over, get in between them, hopefully he gets open. So Darnold takes the snap, there is a play action here, and, looking here, it could work. Now, the problem, obviously, is that like a middle linebacker could read this play and just run over and, cover it up, which is what he's kind of doing right here. So that's always a realistic possibility of something that can happen on this play. That's how you counter it for a defense. So it's getting covered pretty well, but still, this is the throw you can make once, you wait another beat. Darnold tries to fit it through the tight window and just overthrows it, ends up getting picked. So it was a tight window throw that he just wasn't quite able to make, which is unfortunate. So, again, was it a bad decision? No, it was a fine decision. It was a risk, but it was a decision you can make. It's one he decided to make and just overthrew it a little bit. So a couple of bad decisions and a couple of bad throws is going to lead to a bad game, especially when the rest of the offense is playing poorly. Listen, I've always maintained that having an elite halfback really impacts a team. I think the difference between having like the 15th best halfback and the 30th best halfback isn't that great. I think the difference between having the 15th best halfback and the 4th best halfback is huge. So obviously having an elite back in Christian McCaffrey and then having him go down, he kind of does make this team run, and losing him hurts this team a lot. Like, there's no denying that. So, yeah, we have seen struggles from this offense without him. The receiving core hasn't looked as good. The line hasn't blocked as well. And Darnold certainly hasn't played as well. And there's still some issues with Darnold regardless. But Darnold did still make some, good throws as well. What we saw in the first 3 weeks, we've still seen flashes of throughout this rough stretch. So if you are a Darnold believer, I don't think you should give up hope just yet. I do think it's fair to say that, like, okay, he might not be a great quarterback. He might be kind of just a guy who can come in and play all right, and maybe you need a new quarterback next year. But hey, you have him this year, and they're not going after Watson, which is probably good news for Panthers fans. Don't want to deal with that whole situation. At least that's how I would feel. So I think that for Darnold, we'll see how this goes. Hopefully the situation around him can get a little better, and we'll see him get a little better. Kind of interesting stuff, though. What do you guys think about Darnold? Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.